If there's anyone up the back, I'll take one, or we're to the right. Stage right.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry. It's an honor to have such an exemplary Muslim to come and visit us here. My name is Aisha, and I'm a graduate law student. Our courthouses filling with a lot of our Muslim brothers and a lot of domestic violence cases. I am asking this as a concerned Muslim. What is your understanding of the correct interpretation of the verse in the Quran about the so-called beating of the wife? This is the yardstick that Islam...
I'll just slow your question down so he can catch up for a second. Yeah.
Beg your pardon.
You're right, okay, go.
Because this is the yardstick that Islam is being measured by today.
بارك الله فيك وزادك علما ونباها.
May Allah bless you and increase you in knowledge and also intelligence.
إن الكلمة التي أشرت إليها هي كلمة من آية كاملة.
The verse, the word that you indicated, or the part of this verse that you indicated, is part of a complete Quranic verse.
جاءت في سياق علاج حالة مخصوصة.
And it came, was revealed in the context of remedying a specific circumstance.
وكانت في مراحلها أيضا مقيدة من السنة بأحوال مخصوصة.
And also in the various phases of remedying this problem, the situation is limited by the prophetic sunnah and also specific circumstances which must exist.
يقول واللاتي تخافون نشوزهن ومعناه تعديهن طورهن أو خروجهن عن الحدود أو تعاملهن بإضاعة الحق للغير والتشبث بهوى يفسد حق الغير.
And he said, so the verse begins, and those who you fear that they'll transgress marital rights. So this meant that there was a fear of them transgressing the rights of someone else and acting in a manner which was capricious and that was harmful to the rights of another person.
وهذا بحد ذاته لا يمكن أن يكون كذلك إلا في أحوال تؤول إلى الصعوبة.
And this can only be the case if there's if this is occurring in difficult circumstances.
ومع ذلك ابتدأ في العلاج بالعظة فقال فعظوهن.
So in this, along with, or given the fact, despite the fact that it is, the situation was as described, Allah began this remedy by saying, so admonish them or give them a reminder.
ومعناه بدلوا لهن النصيحة.
And so what this means is to give religious counsel.
وهذه العظة ما يمكن أن تكون من شخص هو غير متعظ.
And this admonition cannot be given from someone who himself has not taken a reminder and behaved correctly.
بمعنى أنه يخوفها من الله والرجوع إليه إذا هي ظلمت أو تعصبت على قطع حق الغير.
And what this means is that he reminds the wife to fear God if she has transgressed or refused to discharge the rights of another person.
فإن كان هو في نفس الوقت ظلمها أو تعدى على شيء من حقها أو احتقرها فهو غير أهل لأن يعظ لأن الذي يقوم بالوعظ من هو متعظ في ذاته.
And he said, so if he himself has mistreated, has oppressed her or transgressed her rights, then he is not in a position to give a religious counsel, because the person who gives this counsel must himself have followed the values that he's advising.
إذن لا يمكن أن يتخذ هذه الخطوة الأولى إلا من كان متعظا فكذلك ما بعدها.
And so someone couldn't take this first step except the one who himself was adhering to this principle, much less take steps that follow.
والتي بعدها إذا لم يثر الضمير بعد محاولة إثارة الضمير والفطرة فاستعمال أسلوب داخلي بالهجر في الفراش.
And he said, so if this did not stir and affect her feelings and impact her fitra, which is the nature of the human being, by this reminder that was given, an internal solution is used, which is that the husband separates from the wife or avoids sleeping in the company of the wife.
للاستثارة العواطف الطيبة أيضا من ناحية النفسية.
And then also again to have an impact on her feelings and her psychology.
فإذا لم يثمر الاثنين جاء الضرب مقيدا بقيود.
And then if these two levels or these two phases were not of benefit, there is a permissibility or some form of physical discipline is mentioned. However, it's stipulated with rules.
هو مثل الضرب الذي تستعمله أيضا المرأة مع ابنها أو ابنتها عند الحاجة إليه.
And this is the same type of physical discipline that a woman would use with her son or her daughter if this was necessary.
لنا هنا وجهان يجب أن ندقق النظر فيهما.
And he said there's two aspects here that we must be very delicate in our observation of them.
الأول أنه لا يبدأ به بحال.
And the first of all is ما يبدأ به.
لا يبدأ بالضرب في أشياء قبله.
First of all, that use of physical discipline is never the beginning.
فإنما يكون متأخرا بعد عدم نجاح الأساليب الأخرى.
And first of all, this must follow after other means not bringing a benefit.
النظر الثاني المهم أن هذا الضرب ليس بعنف ولا بقسوة ولا بقوة تؤدي إلى أي ضرر.
He said, secondly, that this physical discipline is not, may not cause harm and may not be harsh, and again may not bring about any harm. Oh, excuse me, it can't be violent, it can't be harsh, and it can't bring about any physical harm.
القيود التي جاءت بها الشريعة حوله تبين أن اسمه ضرب وما حقيقته إلا معنى من أيضا من التقويم بالأسلوب المحرك للعاطفة.
And he said, so the stipulations from the sacred law that surround this dictate that you would call this striking. However, and I'm avoiding the term beating, that you would call it striking. However, in fact, it's not something that would in fact be termed that based on the stipulations which relate to it.
نتيقن هذا من خلال تحديد وضبط العدد.
And he said, we're sure of this based on what's mentioned in terms of limiting and governing the number of times,
والكيفية
and also the method,
والموضع.
and also the place.
فمن جهة العدد اختلفوا هل يكون 3 أو أقل أو هل يجوز أن يبلغ إلى 10.
And he said, as for the number, they differ as to whether it's 3 or less, or whether it's permissible to reach the number of 10.
أما الكيفية فلا يكسر ولا يجرح.
And he said, as for the manner or the how, it can neither break anything or cause any wound.
وكان الفقهاء في الشرع يمثلونه بمثل السواك هذا يضرب به هكذا.
And the example that the jurists would use for what was permissible, they would, and I gotta take this too, they would say like this.
ما في هذا إلا بعث الضمير وتحريك الخاطر ليعود الطبع إلى الاستقامة.
And he said, in that there's nothing except something that would move someone's feelings and stir them in a way that might cause them to return to correct conduct.
أما الكسر والجرح فحرام سواء كان من الزوج مع زوجته أو الأب أو الأم مع أولادهم أو معلم مع التلامذة لا يجوز في الشريعة بحال.
He said, as for something that would break any bones of a person or wound a person, that's not lawful between the spouses, it's not lawful between parents and their children, nor is it lawful between instructors and their pupils in any circumstance in the sacred law.
الثالث في الموضع.
And the third point, again, that the criterion is in the place in which someone could be disciplined.
حتى بهذه الكيفية وتحديد العدد لا يجوز أن يكون في وجه.
And he said, and also in this manner and the limited number, it's not permissible that it be in the face.
احتراما لوجه الإنسان.
And that is out of respect for the face of the human being.
ولا في مكان حساس بالألم
And
من
it
الجسد.
can't be in a place of the body that is sensitive and very sensitive to pain.
ولكن في مثل الكف هكذا.
So, however, striking, for instance, and the jurors use the specific word of the stick that he's holding in the hand.
فإذا تكلمنا عن مسألة يجب أن نعرف غورها وأبعادها وحكمها الكامل في الشريعة.
And he said, so if we're going to discuss a specific legal question, we have to know its depth and also the various aspects that surround it, and also its legal ruling in the sacred law.
أما ما أشرت إليه مما يمكن أن يسمى عنفا فليس من حسن الإسلام في شيء أبدا.
And he said, as for what you mentioned that could be called violence or domestic violence, that's not viewed favorably in Islam in any circumstances.
بل أساس الإسلام خيركم خيركم لأهله وأنا خيركم لأهلي.
And rather, the foundation of marital relations in Islam is the statement of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the best of you is the best of you to his spouse, and I am the best to my wife.
ومع ذلك فمظهر الكمال في رسول الله.
And along with this, the perfect example is in Allah's Messenger.
لم يضرب خادما
He would never physically discipline a servant,
ولا طفلا
nor a child,
ولا زوجة
nor a wife,
ولا إلا أن يكون في الجهاد في سبيل الله
unless he was fighting for the cause of God.
في مقابلة من قابله.
And that was in defense of those who attacked him or confronted him.
حتى مرة جاء الغضب للسيدة عائشة نفسها.
And he said once our Lady Aisha herself became angry.
ولصغرها وكونها أيضا ألفت الدلع من أهلها ومن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم غضبت وتحملت على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And he said, and due to again her young age, and also because she had become accustomed to being spoiled by her family and also by the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, she got angry.
تحملت يعني لا
And she got angry with the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم.
ما حش ضرب لا رجال ولا نساء. فقال لها صلى الله عليه وسلم انظري من ينظر هذه المسألة بيني وبينك.
So then when this conflict occurred, he said, look for someone that can judge in this case between us.
فاختارت أباها.
So she chose her father.
فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم رضي بذلك.
And he said he accepted this صلى الله عليه وسلم.
لما يعلم من عقله وإيمانه.
And because he knew of the wisdom of her father as well as his faith.
فدعاه إلى البيت وجاء.
So he called her father to the house and he came.
قال بيني وبين عائشة شيء أريدك تنظر فيه وتحكم.
And he said, something occurred between Aisha and I want you to look into it and come to a decision.
قال تتكلمين عائشة أو أتكلم أنا؟
So the Prophet said to Lady Aisha, shall you speak first or shall I?
قالت تكلم أنت ولا تقول إلا حقا.
So she said, you speak first, but only speak the truth.
فلما نطقت بهذه الكلمة غضب أبوها.
So when she said this, her father got angry.
فقام يريد يضربها.
And then he stood up and he was going to smack her.
فقام النبي وأمسكه.
So the Prophet stood up and grabbed him.
فكان هو المدافع عن
So
عائشة.
then he was the one who's defending Aisha.
وانتهت المشكلة.
And that was the end of it.
I should point out that all of this stick business is illegal under Australian law, at least. There's none of this. None of this allowed under any circumstances under Australian law.
طيب
I'm happy to stay